Tim again. I learned a lot from the first video that I posted. I learned that the microphone can't be far away from my face, which is important when you're recording audio. So, we're gonna try this again with something the same but different. So, as I said in my previous video, which you may not have heard, I like board games, and I have quite a large collection of them, and I would like to share them with you. One that I thought would be fun to look at, and this is a game that isn't necessarily a huge favorite of mine, but it's one that I play from time to time because it's fun. And that game is Lovecraft Letter. Now, some of you who are into the hobby might know of a game called Love Letter. That game is a small game, a small deck of, I believe it's 16 cards. But it's very light. This game kind of takes that and adds a Lovecraftian theme to it. So here you have, I don't know if this is actually Cthulhu or one of his royalty. And this is a professor who's going to fight him. So, but yeah, the original Lovecraft, basically you're a suitor of sorts trying to get your letter to the princess. In this one, I think you're just trying to stay sane and beat Cthulhu. So, let's take a look at what is in the box. Again, Lovecraft Letter. Alright. You'll see that the box itself actually has, and it's shaped like a book. You can see there. I love that. I actually collect games that look like books. So this fits into my collection quite nicely. As you can see, here's the spine of the book. Right there. There's the spine. And supposedly the pages, it has a clasp, but instead of a clasp, it has a magnet. It opens. I love that. I love that. You can just open it like a magnet, and it stays shut. So when I'm transporting it, it doesn't open up, and the pieces don't get everywhere. So that's good. But yeah, I like the magnet. Okay, enough stalling. Let's get into the game. Open it for real this time. So here we have some lovely art. So you can see here's the Elder Sign seal. And then we have a bunch of art that is Lovecraftian in nature. Another Elder Sign. Here's a cat. Key with an Indiana Jones looking fella. And Morgan Freeman's in this game. Right there. Bet you didn't know that. So, Lovecraft Letter. Here's the instruction book. And then it's a lovely felt insert. It feels very nice. got chips and cards that are sleeved. And this did come with its own sleeves. So, Lovecraft Letter. A game by Seiji Kanai for 2 to 6 players, ages 14 and up. And this basically just talks about the setting of the game, contents. So the goal in Lovecraft Letter, you are a person who has arrived in Egypt to help your cousin, only to discover they are missing. You follow a series of clues apparently left behind for you to find, but beware, as some of them contain forbidden secrets or are protected by supernatural beings that could threaten your well-being. During the game, you hold one secret card in your hand. It represents the clue that you have chosen to follow at the moment. However, some clues are more dangerous than others and could get you and not your competition eliminated. The player who has the highest value card in his hand at the end of the round has found the most useful clue in the search for your cousin. Now it says whoever has the most useful or the highest numbered card. That typically doesn't happen because everyone gets eliminated before that happens. So we'll go on to talk about components, the anatomy of a card. So it talks about the name, number, how many of it is in the deck, and the description of what it does when you play it. There are several reference cards, one for each player, and sanity tokens. I'll go over what those do. They're basically to keep track of your wins, because after a certain number, the game will end. So, taking a turn, discarding, and insanity. Out of the round, end of round, and game end. And it is important to be honest in this game, as with most things in life. So here's some background. It talks about what each card does, as well as the mythos behind each card. And that goes on for several pages because there are a lot of cards. I mean, I guess a lot relatively, but that's the rule book. So, this game comes with cards. Let's go over a reference card first. So, as you can see, 6 reference cards. One for each player if you're playing with a full count of 6 players. This list will look very familiar if you are familiar with Love Letter, because, barring this bottom one with the 0, it's basically exactly the same. The names are different though, but the cards do practically the same things as in Love Letter. So, there are 5 of these investigators in the deck. That's what that 5 means. And if you play an investigator, you get to guess another player's hand. And if you are correct, they are out for that round. There's 2 number 2s. Those are the cats of Ulthar. You get to look at another player's hand when you play that. 3, and there's 2 of those. The Great Race of Yith. You get to, when you play this, compare hands with another player. Whoever has the lower number is out. Then we have number 4, which is the Elder Sign. There's 2 of those in the deck as well. You cannot be chosen for card effects until your next turn. So it basically makes you immune to other players' effects. So if another player were to play any of these other cards on you, nothing would happen. Number 5, again, there are 2 of those. Professor Henry Armitage, and you may remember him from the front cover here. That's the professor. A player, and you can choose yourself, discards their hand and draws a new card. So it's a way to try to get important cards out of other players' hand, or if you have a card that isn't as useful, you can get rid of that as well. Next, number 6, Randolph Carter. There's only 1 of those in the deck. You trade hands with another player. Number 7, the Silver Key. And again, there's 1 of those. This card in particular, remember that honesty rule we talked about earlier? Well, if you have this card and another card that is a 5 or higher, you have to discard the Silver Key. You don't have a choice. But, again, no one else is going to know, so you have to be honest about it. Yeah. And then the Necronomicon. Number 8, the highest number card in the deck. And there's, again, only 1 of those. This one is the most important because, of course, you want to have this at the end of the game when you're comparing numbers, but you don't want to have this early on because it's hard to hold on to. And if you discard it, you immediately lose that round. So, as I said, you'll recognize these, but if we turn it around, there are additional cards, and these are considered cards with insane effects. So, for the different numbers, and you see there is only 1 of each in the deck. For each of these, they have the sane effect, so if you compare it, they have this effect, but if you happen to be insane, and I'll explain what that means, you get to play it for its insane effect, which is more powerful. So you're basically using the power of Cthulhu to do your dirty work. And I won't go over all of those, but just know that they're more powerful. So these are actually all shuffled except for, here, let me move this out of the way so I can show you. So I always keep this card separate, the Migo brain case, because this will be put out on the table. There is only 1 card that uses this, so for the most part it's not going to get used. Now, let's go ahead and sort these, just so I can show you. So what do we have? 5, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Here's an insane card. I'm going to put that off to the side and we'll sort those later. 4, 1, 1. 5, 4. Here's the Necronomicon. Here, I'll move these up a little bit. 7, 3, 1, and 6. So, as you can see, we have 5 of these investigators, which are the simplest card to use, which is why they're number 1, and there's 5 of them. Next are the Cats of Ulthar. The Great Race of Youth. The Elder Sign. Professor Henri Armitage. Randolph Carter, aka Indiana Jones. Silver Key. And the Necronomicon. Now let's go ahead and sort the ones with insane effects. So, number 1, the deep ones. Here's their insane effect and their sane effect. Let's find number 2. Number 2 is Golden Mead. Oh, there's the Miko brain case. How'd you get in there? Number 3, the Hound of Tyndalos. Number 4, the Libra Evonis? Yeah, sure, that's what it is. And Miko, see. This is the card that uses the Miko brain case. Nyarlathotep. Nyarlathotep. Of course, that's what that is. The Shining Trapezohedron. And then finally, Cthulhu himself. So, let me explain exactly what happens here. You're going to have these cards. They're presumably all going to be shuffled together, except for the Miko brain case. Every player gets one card. They will always have at least one card in their hand. And then on their turn, they will draw another card and play a card. So really, it's very simple. Draw one, play one. So let's say I had this investigator in my hand, and then I drew Randolph Carter. I would pick one to play, and that would go in front of me, discarded, and I would choose a player and basically do whatever it says on the card to them. Now, I said that this gets discarded in front of you, and that's important because this keeps track of your sanity. So, as long as you don't have any green stones in front of you, you are still sane. However, as soon as you discard your first insane card, you are now insane. Basically what that does is it does make some of these cards stronger, but at the beginning of your turn, you always have to flip up the top card of the deck. If you flip up the top card, and it is a black stone, you put it in front of you, you are still alive, and you get to draw and play a card. However, if the card you draw is insane, has a green stone, you're immediately out of that round. Basically, you went so insane that you killed yourself, and that's very unfortunate. So, basically you do that Again, until one player remains, or if multiple players remain and the deck runs out, you compare the numbers on the cards that you have in your hands. And either last player standing or whoever has the highest number wins that round. Now, when you win, you get these lovely tokens, and these are very high quality. Now you'll notice, I'll just take out a sleeve of them. So, as you can see, each stack comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tokens. Oh, that one's got a little smudge on it. So, each stack has 6 tokens in it, so this game comes with 3 stacks of 6, that's 18. Now on one side, there is the Elder Sign. On the other side, you have a little mini Cthulhu, or Cthulhu. So here, Elder Sign, Cthulhu. When you win, you check to see whether you went insane before you won, or if you stayed sane. If you stayed sane, you take one of these tokens in front of you, and this means that you had a sane victory. If you get one of these tokens in front of you, that means that you won while you were insane. If you get 2 of these sane tokens, you win the game. If you get 3 of these insane tokens, you win the game. So that's how you win. I presume that the reason they did that is because it's harder to win as a sane person than as an insane person. But I don't know. That's probably the case. So that's basically the game. It's very straightforward, very luck-based, but it's fun to play, to bring out and play with, you know, if you have especially like 6 players, and they're not really hardcore gamers. It's very easy to pick up and just play, because it's just a small deck of cards. Production value is really good on this box, so you bring it out and people are like, whoa, look at that. I mean, presumably, I won't speak for everyone. I would have been like that if it was the first time I saw this game. But I think, yeah, there it is. I was like, where'd that Miko brain case go? It's right here. There it is. So, that in a nutshell is Lovecraft Letter. Very simple, very easy. One of the things that I value in board games is what I think makes a good board game. It's basically 2 things: simple decisions, complex strategy, which means that you shouldn't have to basically choose between like a million different options. For a good game, you should have a few simple options, and those options should have really complex strategies where you choose an option and your gameplay or how things go vastly differ based on those simple options. Now, I myself love a complex board game. simple game like this is really nice because not everyone likes complex board games. People just want to sit down, play a game, not have to think too hard. And I get like that too, but I like to work my brain out sometimes. And I'll probably show you some of those games as well, but I figured this would be a nice starting game. Nice and short. We'll see how this goes. I still have a lot of learning to do in recording these. So, that is Lovecraft Letter. Thank you so much for watching and indulging me in my passion for board games. And until next time.